for them ratchets.
That's Ratchet by HEDEGAARD, AARD. Really good track for bass, and the track is mastered amazingly. So you don't get any distortion or anything like that at all. It's just pure bass with no noise or anything at any end of the scale. Now, I haven't cranked them up full volume, but I fear my headphones or the speakers will probably get damaged if I whacked it all the way up. So yeah, this video is a follow-up really, because I've had both of these units for a while now. A80, the Aiyima A80 I've had for the longest. So I wanted to give a bit of long-term ownership feedback from that. And I've done an initial review of both of these on video anyway, so I'll link to those in the description below. And I've done a written review, a full written review of the Luxsin X9. So this is my primary DAC and headphones amplifier. And to feed the passive speakers, recap again, Triangle Comet 40th anniversary. I'm using the Aiyima A80, and I have got the Sparker's SS3602 OpAmps installed on there as well. So you do need two of those for this. They are about £70 each, I think I paid. So around about £140 all in, no tax to pay on import duty or anything. So that was pretty cool. It comes from the USA. And I will put a little fly out image of what those OpAmps look like installed, because they are just about right. Any OpAmps that are slightly bigger, they won't fit because of the space you've got inside of that housing. And yes, this A80, it does run hot with and without the OpAmps installed. So with the stock OpAmps, the NE5532, I think they are Texas Instruments. It runs fairly hot anyway as it is, but it just runs a little bit hotter with the 3602 installed. But I've had no problems with it at all. There's been no sort of power shutdowns, and it's just super clean, nice wide soundstage sound through these speakers, and I really like that. So as far as I'm concerned at the moment, this setup with the Arya Stealth Vormax memory foam pads, which I am a huge fan of, I will put a link to these in the description below as well. The cable I'm using is the Open Heart XLR balanced cable, and I've also got, obviously I'm still doing tests with the stock cable. In the dark, it's quite hard to see those markers, so I color code them. Same with the TripOIN ground via cable. This is the standard 3.5 single-ended, 4.4mm balanced from TripOIN again. They don't come color coordinated, and it's quite hard to see the markers on them, so color code them with cable ties. Really nice cable, lightweight as well. But yeah, first up, the X9. There are a number of features that I have tested already, that I mentioned in my original review. I'm not using those features anymore, so I am just using bypass mode. And let's just zoom in on that. Bypass mode is really good for both headphones and speakers, because I've been doing extended testing with it now, and I really like this mode. What it means is it bypasses the EQ and any effects and things that you've got. But if you did want to, you can go in and enable the effects. And sometimes I do play around with it depending on the music. So I have dialed in a bit more bass, 1.5 dB of bass and 0.5 dB of treble. And the tone controls on this X9, you can control the mid-range as well, which is quite cool, which is something you don't see on other amps. You can change the stereo width. This is a really cool feature. So you can adjust the soundstage effectively. So you can have it as narrow as you want. So it's basically mono in soundstage. There's still some soundstage there. Stereo separation in imaging is still there when you're playing music. But what you don't get is the instrument placement and separation in that soundstage, in the actual width itself. So that narrows it down. I know some people don't like wide soundstage. Well, everyone has their own preference, but some people don't like it, which is fine. But the fact that you can adjust that is really cool. And it goes all the way up to 100. So I'll just stick it back down to 50. You can use these buttons as well. But I don't actually use that. I really like the way my speakers sound by default. The soundstage and imaging is just perfect. Same goes for the headphones. But you've got some other stuff as well. You can change the subwoofer, cutoff frequency, and some other features and so on. So that's quite comprehensive. Those are within the effects panel. And when you click bypass, it goes back to bypass. And then when you tap bypass off, it resumes what mode you were in before. So for example, if I had a headphones HPEQ set, and then I didn't want effects, I just wanted HPEQ. But then I wanted to try out a different headphones which works better with bypass. It just disables HPEQ, but then when I go back to the same headphones, it's back to HPEQ. So it remembers that, which is quite cool. You don't have to go in and manually change them. But what you can't do is you can't set headphone specific memory for these settings. So if I had Arya Stealth here, and then I had a pair of Audeze LCD5s, for example, those are coming next, then it wouldn't remember these settings on a per headphone basis. That is a feature request that has been made to Luxsin, and on the Head5 forums they have said they are looking into it. So I'm hoping the next update does have some form of settings memory for different outputs and different headsets and so on as well. So that's going to be quite cool once, or if they can do that. What it does memorize though is volume levels. So if you are on speakers output, for example, I'm on XLR at the rears at the moment to my power amp, because this A80 does have balanced input with TRS connectors. So I'm using XLR output from there. The cable converts to, actually, let's just show you. The cable converts to TRS, and that gives me my balanced signal to the A80. It is in sleep mode at the moment, in standby mode. I'll talk about that in a minute because that's quite a cool feature. Yeah, so it's in volume memory for the XLR and RCA outputs. They share the same volume. Now if I go to headset, look at this decibels counter here. It's going to change to my last used volume for the headset. And the headset volume is memorized between all three of the outputs on the front there. And then if I go back to RCA or XLR, it'll go back to 0. 0 is obviously 0 dB or 100%, which is my line level output. And when you're in line level mode or RCA or XLR output, you can adjust the volume as well. So if your power amplifier did not have volume control, or if you've got some active speakers and you just max it out on the active speakers themselves, then you can control the master volume with this. But you do need to be on 0 dB if you want 100% line level output. So that's fine for me, for my uses. Favorite visualizer, sorry, is this one, the bar graphs. If I just play something quickly, I can actually talk about two things here. So I'll play something quickly and I can show you how quick the A80 wakes up. So it is in standby mode at the moment. 5 minutes or so of no audio signal. So the connection can be live, whether it's USB, optical in or whatever. It recognizes sleep mode based on an audible signal within the frequency range, if something comes in or not. So if nothing comes in, you'll go to sleep mode or standby mode. So I'm just going to play a YouTube video. So I've got that there, and I'll click the mouse button to play it, and you can see how quick it wakes up. So here we go.
But primitive copper chisels, rope.
That's it. So yeah, within a second, it wakes up from standby mode and wakes up the display as well. So if I have the display on all the time, but you can have it in display off and it will go to display off in standby mode as well. So that's pretty cool. The volume dial still have had no issues with it at all. All the increments do work and it sounds and feels great. It's got a bit of weight to it. Very, very similar to the X9's volume dial. And this is obviously metal, whereas this is not metal. This feels more like a matte, rubbery texture. It might be aluminium underneath, but it's a textured finish on top. But this is all aluminium machined as well, and it's got that kind of sheen to it, which looks really cool. The backlight for the LED on the volume dial can be turned off, and you can also turn off the pulsing mode as of the last 1008 firmware update. So if you turn the display off and you don't like the pulsing of the volume dial, then you can turn that off. That's really cool. And hopefully they add some more requested features as well. The volume levels and the power levels of the A80 have been amazing. So I've not had any distortion at any volume. If I put it to halfway, that's too loud for normal listening. So I wouldn't want it any louder than that. But even if I cranked it up a bit more, there's no distortion at all. So that same song, the Ratchets song, playing through the Arya Stealth, the bass line obviously hits a lot lower, and you feel it inside your head as that bass line rocks through. But there's no boominess, there's no distortion. It's just super clean and super detailed bass. On the top end, high frequency ranges for the vocals and cymbal instruments and things, really crisp. You've got that sparkle and shine still, even though these pads do remove those brightness peaks, the shine and the sparkle is still there. So you still get that crisp level of detail with certain tracks that have that detail within the music. So for me, this is essentially a reference, my reference now, my personal reference on anything else I get in for review or buy myself. It will be compared against this setup. And the total cost of all of this, £1,500 speakers, £550 for the headphones, £20 for the AirPads. If you do get a balance cable, then these are inexpensive, about £20 to £35, depending on which one you get. The Trippo Ins are slightly more expensive than the Open Heart, which is available from AliExpress. But no matter which one you get, you can't go wrong. The sound quality between all of these is exactly the same. You kind of don't expect them to be different. It is just preference on what type of connector you like, and obviously the type of cable you like as well. I like them all. I prefer XLR at the moment because the connector just feels awesome to take out and put in. But the downside to that is because it's a simplistic connector, it's old school, it doesn't have sensing tech, so you don't get the automatic recognition on the X9 when you plug headphones in. You have to manually go in and adjust the impedance and gain depending on the headphones you've got. And when you select output for the headset from here, output ports, headset, you then need to go back and select your RCA or XLR when you go back to speakers and unplug them, because it won't auto switch back like it does with the single-ended 6.35 and the balanced 4.4. So it's just the simplistic basic nature of XLR. It's just what it is. I have asked Luxsin about it and they sort of confirmed that as well. So it is what it is. I'm happy with going in. It is just a case of swipe, tap, tap, and that is it. And you don't need to manually click back either. Within 20 seconds, it will go back to the home screen. So, you know, it's just a one-time thing, just 2 swipes and a tap, and that's it. My only gripe is that the remote control, if I just grab that, the remote control does not have a button for the output mode or output source select. It has the input button, which is that one there, but there's nothing for the output. So I think that's a missed step. There should have been a button there for the output as well, because this, while I've got it set up as a desktop DAC, not everyone will do, which is why they give a remote for it as well. So you don't want to have to constantly go up there and press it if you're using XLR cable for that for headphones. So yeah, that's a misstep. Okay, the speakers are quite expensive, but you don't need these ones. The BR04, which are triangle as well, they are front ported. They have the same woofer, soundstage and imaging and resolution, really good on the BR04. They are about £400, so considerably cheaper than these. You don't have to get a limited special edition speaker to get this kind of sound. You'll get that through any reasonably competent speaker anyway. So yeah, that was my feedback. If there's anything anyone wants me to try with either the DAC or the power amp, then I'm more than happy to do that. Just leave a comment in the bit below. And just to give you a little more of an update as well, I am getting the Audeze LCD5 in from Audeze. They've been kind enough to send me that in for testing. So I'll be comparing that to the Arya Stealth through the Luxsin X9. I'm also getting the new FiO K13 R2R, so I'll be comparing that against this DAC as well. Now I have had the K11 R2R and I really like that, so it'll be really interesting to see how the K13 R2R fares compared to the K11 that I had, and also against this. This DAC / headphone amp is basically 3 personalities in one. You can have that neutral, just slightly warm and smooth sound from your source if you want, or you can enable the parametric EQ through HP EQ for both speakers and headphones, because you've got different profiles there. You can tune it to your liking, to your kit. Or you can have the effects section, which just adjusts tone, crossover, and all that kind of stuff as well. So it's got unlimited scope to customize to your exact output equipment and potentially amplifier as well, if you're using it for that purpose. But yeah, I think it's like a jack of all trades really. So I think for the price, for £1,000, €1,000, this does a lot more than what the price would otherwise suggest. And it's really well built as well. Like, everything is heavy quality. This panel, when I took it off, I'll show what it looks like. I'll put another image here to show what that looks like. But this panel is quite heavy and it's quite thick as well. So everything is just, it's done really well. And Luxsin do say that the front panel is diamond cut as well. So I'm not quite sure what that means. Usually with diamond cut, you see some gleam and glisten, but I'm not seeing that. But again, it's a thick front panel. It feels it as well. And those sides feel really nice. I have put it on, I don't know if you can see it there, but I have put it on additional centimeter raised feet. So these are rubber anti-slip feet that I got off Amazon, and just gives you a bit more gap. So if I just go under there, I can get a duster under there and clean easier as well. I don't need to move it out of the way. Or I can just tuck the cables under and it's just tucked out of the way. This doesn't run that warm. So it is warm to the touch, but the power amp runs hotter. 46 degrees I measured with a thermal camera, and this is about 38. Update again once I've got some more kit in to review and compare against. But for now, like, comment, subscribe. Have to say it for the algorithm, and I'll see you in the next one.